Not the ropes, not-
Steps.
Oh. I did not.
I signed up for that on Norris, and it's certified international property specialist. You'll be good at that.
Do you like it?
But I start it next week.
I know. Okay, so if you wanted to get to the material for Ignite, you would have it by going over to your, let's make sure I'm sharing properly. So if you were to go to mykw.kw.com, so I'm here. I have education. And to date, these two are on the top. So the one with that is Ignite, and then there's Ignite 2.0. The regular Ignite is the older Ignite. So I know Vicki has attended regular Ignite a couple times, right? So yay, got a veteran here. And then Jack, you've attended Ignite once, if not more?
Correct.
Okay, so the one that you have gone to up until now had been this one. And it's really just a matter of, they made some revisions to, there are different things that are happening now than 10 years ago, I want to say, is when Ignite actually came out. So the verbiages and things like that are a little bit more updated. So what we are going to do is we're going to utilize the 2.0. The materials themselves are a little bit more concise. And the one that we're going to go over today is going to be the one that is Ignite, Spark Fuel Your Career.
And where'd you say that was?
Where was it?
And where exactly? I'm in.
Oh, okay, hold on a second. So let me back up. So if I'm here, that's our main screen.
Okay.
That takes me to education, which is up on the top. Are you with me?
Is this our command? This
I don't
is
have
it.
education.
It's not command.
Okay.
Does yours look like this?
Nope.
So go to mykw.kw.com. You might be at agent.kw.com, which is a little bit different.
All right, I'm there.
So it look like this,
Right.
okay? Then you've got education,
Okay.
which will take you to this screen. And then we've got the two different Ignites. The one that we're gonna work off of as far as this course for the month of June is going to be the 2.0. It doesn't mean that there's not good information in Ignite, but overall, it covers the same topics. So if you click on, are you able to click on the one that says lab? When you go there, then you're able to, there's different things that are also in your second menu tab. And if you go to materials, you've got the student files and the instructor files. The student files are, you're more than happy. I'm more than happy for you to look at the instructor files. It's the same type of thing. It's just giving us some notes that go along with it. And you can click on, from the student files, you want to do the Spark Fuel Your Career. And it does say participation guide.
Thank you.
And that is the document that I already handed you. Does that make sense?
And so, Susie, are we doing these every Wednesday?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
But it was a holiday, so
And if you miss one, because
I'm recording it. This is recorded.
where would we find the recorded version?
You will soon be getting our YouTube channel is now being stocked by our
Okay.
virtual assistant. And so it should be up by tomorrow.
Okay.
Student records.
I'm sorry?
I was a little bit behind because I had to log in. I didn't have it on.
That's okay.
Is that?
Actually, this is, hold on a second. It's that's not what I wanted to do.
Are we power session 1?
Hold on just a moment. So the intention behind Ignite is for you to go through a course that you have your basic how to be a real estate agent and then some. You could, with the materials that we go over, you could do it even on your own if you don't want to hear my voice, if you want to hear somebody else's. There's lots of videos out there, by the way. You could go on YouTube and find probably 30, if not more, other people like me or other team leaders who have taught this course and have them out there on YouTube. So there's lots of places. And then if you were to have received my email that says, welcome to the productivity coaching program, it actually has these, these 1 hour sessions that are done by leadership in Keller Williams International that give you, here are the highlights. What I want to be able to do is to give you here in our area, how you can apply it a little bit more deep diving. That kind of like makes sense. You have your information that I gave you for today's class. There are also going to be things called elements. The elements are homework assignments. So if you were to go to a regular class back in, many of us, it was a little bit of time ago, where you went to, well, I take classes now. So a lot of times there are homework assignments that can reinforce and you're actually doing the activities. We have those too. So I just wanted to highlight what that looks like. There is not something that I have you to do exactly as far as the Ignite course between now and Friday. However, there is lots of things that you can be doing. It's just a matter of, for this course, it's more of, let's make sure that you're all set up. So if you were to look at an elements section, I'm just going to bring this up just for you to see. It has things like, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? So this has, like for prospecting, which is next week's class, it has a lot of different, what is it that you're going to, how is it that you're going to be prospecting? And then from the class, you're going to be able to answer these questions for yourself. You're going to do prospecting differently than she's going to do prospecting. Vicki might have a different take on it because Vicki, if you haven't met Vicki, which everybody should meet Vicki, everybody should meet. You really should do that as well. Vicki does mostly commercial. So she's a resource that is probably going to hear what we're doing in a little bit of a different way because her ears are more tuned into commercial stuff. So, but good person to know because you can refer them to people. You can refer people to her. Okay, so that's what the elements are for. So you're gonna have the classes that we have and then the elements are the homework. My expectation is that we're all gonna participate and actually do these things, right?
Yeah.
If we don't do them, we don't have any business most likely. It is not like it used to be that we had, a phone book of sorts that somebody would be looking for a real estate agent and there would be 4 other people that were listed in the area and you called one up. You're dealing with thousands, many thousands of real estate agents. So you're either going to be the best, you're going to be different, or you're going to be the first. So probably not going to be the first, but you can be the best at something, and you can also be different because we all are unique in our different ways. Are we all on board? How are we doing? All right, so let me go back to this and then make sure. Perfect. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen properly. Share and go back to that. Oops. Hold on, guys. Let me just, for some reason, I have 2 that are closed or open. How you doing, Corey? I know. Oh, shoot. Hold on a second. Sorry. I closed it out because I was doing that other thing. Let me make sure everybody is all ready. Okay, Corey, could you just let me know that you're actually able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Voila. We look all professional. So, many of you, more than half of you, are newer to being a real estate agent. So if you're newer to being a real estate agent, what's like your biggest, when you got into the business, if it was a few months ago or what have you, what was like your biggest question? What's like the big question? And there's not a right or wrong answer. I'm just asking, like, what did you think? It's like, I'm gonna be a real estate agent. Okay, how do I, or what do I do? Fill in the blank. What's your blank statement?
Is how do you set up a proper foundation?
Okay. Well, good, you're here. So that's a start.
How to
Okay,
connect with people who want to buy houses.
so probably the prospecting, lead
Prospecting.
generating, how are you gonna get your first piece of business? Maybe that type of, okay. Anything different?
I think it goes kind of along the same lines, like how do I find people? How do I find people to do business with?
Okay. Pamela, you have anything to add to that?
It's all the same, yeah. It's
Same
just-
kind of thing?
It's very different than what I thought, honestly. If I'm being honest, it's very different than what I thought when I passed my test, but I've adjusted and figuring it out.
You're moving forward. So that's something, and I'm glad that you said that. I have heard other people thinking this is very different than what I thought.
What did you think it was gonna be?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, because
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah,
If I'm being very honest,
yeah.
Please.
I thought it would be, I didn't realize it would, and I don't mind doing the work, so I don't take it that way. I didn't realize it would be so much on me to do all the lead generation. Not only do lead generation, but learn all the things that you need to learn. I thought, honest, and I'm being honest.
I want you to.
We can be honest. I thought there would be some leads that would be fed to you to follow up on. And by doing that, I could then take off and become a realtor. And what I've learned is you do your own lead generation, you learn all your own skills, you put a lot of effort into it. For me, probably for Hilton as well, we're kind of getting ourselves known because I've been here for 3 years, but I was busy working in St. Petersburg and then working in Philadelphia. So it's a lot harder, to be honest, than what I thought. And I spend a lot of my time generating my own leads, which I thought would somehow, there would be some fed to me.
Mhm.
And so,
The people that are gonna feed you are the ones you're meeting now.
yes, I've
The
learned
ones that
that.
know you, get to know you, will trust you. And when you call them, it's not always about, hey, you wanna buy real estate? It's, who do you know?
Yeah,
I've been doing this a long time and I still have to go out and get my own leads or ask people that I've worked with in the past.
Yeah, and I've learned that really quickly, adjusted, and so, and I had this morning was just an extremely frustrating moment we were talking about, but it was a lesson learned, and so it's been a lot of lessons learned along the way. Great people like Jack who are very helpful as you're learning. Oh, he was, I screwed up this little key thing, he was very nice about it. Very.
That was you? No, I'm kidding.
Very much used it as a teaching moment, and I was telling my daughter this morning, I said, I'm so tired of people saying, have you sold the house yet? I'm like, no, I haven't sold the house yet. I feel like, that's what you feel like saying, but it's a lot of just keep trying, and eventually I know that everything I'm doing, something will stick. I spent my whole Memorial weekend sending out 350 letters, writing letters. So something will eventually stick. But it's just different. It's different than what I thought. And, so yeah, I'm finding my way. And I think it's not that long, but.
For those of you that have been doing this for a little while, those of you, there's 2 of you, did you have a little bit of that if you think that you and I have been doing this, I think, well, how long have you been doing this, Jack?
About 4.5 years.
4.5 years, okay.
5 years.
5 years. So yours, what she was saying is, did you have some similar kinds of thoughts?
No,
Oh. What were your thoughts?
primarily because I knew I had to go contact people. I knew that whatever came out of this was gonna be 100% on me. And if I don't do it, I got nobody else to complain to.
Okay,
Mhm.
there you go.
Again, I have a much different background than Pat.
That's very
What
true.
is your background, Jack? Holly?
I came out of corporate America in '04. I became a contractor, and I did that until I realized that I don't bounce well anymore. Okay? And I had this fellow who keeps sending me here, there, and everywhere, all right, working on properties he managed. And I said, well, let me look this guy up, find out who he is. Turns out it was Steve Dutoit. And then one day during a conversation, completely out of the blue, he says, you know, you should be selling real estate. I said, Steve, career change is never up there.
Mhm.
Right?
Do you have a mentorship here?
When you say mentorship, what do you mean by that?
Like somebody who you would help them, they would help you so that you do maybe get to see what their website looks like, get to see, and then they get 10% or 20, do you know what I mean? They get a percentage of
So we
houses
don't do
that they
it-
sell.
We don't do it as mentorships, and part of it, so that's why we have the productivity coaching program, which is why you're sitting here for the most
Yeah.
part. And a lot of that has to do with, from a Keller Williams perspective, they're teaching you their way, which isn't necessarily applicable to as a brand new agent. So somebody who has been in the business and is actively an agent, it would tend to go into you're gonna be my assistant, you're gonna do all the things that I don't wanna do.
Right, but then you learn how to do those
You do,
things.
but you
Not necessarily.
Okay, or you learn wrong.
there's, all of those things could be true.
Okay, so you don't.
I've heard there's the ALC, but I've yet to have the ALC reach out to me, or I've yet
I'm
to
reaching
see
out
when
to
they
you
meet.
right now. I'm
There you go.
ALC and I'm here.
What is
Okay.
ALC?
Agent Leadership Council, it's kind of like a board of directors. And it's agents from the office that,
Her or Samantha, but as far as the ALC, that's the first I've heard. We're here, the doors are
That's-
open, we're
that
happy to
falls
help
back
you.
on us then, it's shame on us, because you should know that. And if you don't, it's because we haven't gotten the word out properly.
So,
Everybody's pictures up there except for mine on the board up there, but you don't pay attention to that stuff when you walk in.
I think it would, just to be honest, I think it would be nice if you all took the initiative to reach out to us in the
point.
beginning. I mean, I joined a women's club yesterday, and they literally called me up and welcomed me and told me who they were and what they were about and how I could reach them, and I think it would be really good if the ALC did. I know personally, most everybody can tell you, I'm here almost every day.
Mhm.
Taking every class, every nugget. I'm doing all the things I know I'm supposed to do. But I never once knew all the ALC was here and I could knock on your door.
Yeah, anytime. And for what it's worth, I spent the weekend as well writing letters, because I do every day.
Yeah.
Postcards, all the time. It's one of your best resources.
All right, so we're off. We get
Okay.
back on topic.
I
So
We
was
are.
lazy, it was my birthday.
Yesterday was your birthday?
I spent the weekend
Happy
celebrating, so
birthday.
I was lazy.
Well, what do you do this for if you don't get a chance to do stuff like that?
That's right.
That's right, there's no point, there's no point. So we're gonna go back on topic, and some of the things that you have mentioned are actually going to be talked about today, so I'm going to hopefully get to assistance. I'm not suggesting that all answers will be in the next 10 minutes, not exactly work that way. And yet I think that we're gonna have a lot of topics and a lot of strategies that go along with that. So we're actually gonna start now. So here we go. Why are we doing real estate opposed to staying I was in pharmaceutical management, my family had bakeries in the past too. I could do either one of those. I had success in that and still earn a good enough living that I would be pretty comfortable. So why real estate? That's, a little bit about my background, but this isn't about me. Why are we doing real estate? Why, Jack, do you mind if you share why real estate? I mean, I know about the bouncing back, which I'm with you. Bakery.
Yep.
Not looking to do that in my 50s.
While I was a contractor,
Mhm.
I think I made every mistake in the book and then added a few chapters.
They made a new book for you?
I'm sorry?
They made a new book for you?
As a result, I went through a pile of money. And when I got involved in this, I was 61 years old. And I said, you know what? There's nothing else out there at my age that's going to produce the type of income that this has the potential to do.
Okay, so potential income and past things that didn't want to do
Potential
anymore.
income, period, end of story.
Okay. How about, since you and I, this will be the more experience. Why this, aside from your husband saying, did anything more than that?
He got tired of me being gone all the time. I was commercial pilot.
Yeah.
So it was like, do real estate, to be home more often, or you saw me less. You work.
You didn't know what real estate was all about, by the way.
Yeah, you work
Okay.
your butt off. And had I known that, I would stay commercial pilot, but I would have been retired by now because mandatory retirement is 65. I'm well past that, so. Real estate, there's no mandatory retirement, and you call your own hours. You can work as hard as you want, or you can work as little as you want. And you're your own boss. That's kind of, I think,
That's why it's worked for you for this long.
so, I mean,
Okay.
you gotta have that nest egg though, in case, in between sales.
And not ride the wave. So now for you guys, why real estate opposed to something else?
For me, it was social. I'm artistic, so everyone was like, oh, open up a shop, open this, open that. I wanted to do something where I get out there and talk to people and
So the draw was the interaction with other people, the social aspect.
yeah, I retired, I homeschooled. My kids are in college now, so I lost my job. And yeah, went through divorce and just when I was looking I retired for a year, was bored to death and just wanted something. Yeah, that's
the driver for you.
yeah, I know
Okay.
that's a weird driver for real estate.
No.
Makes sense.
It's your driver, so there's
Yeah.
there's no judgment on that. We all have different things. Okay, would you guys like to share? Anyone?
Well, I think everybody knows my story. I've probably told it a million times, but I was in corporate America in healthcare finance. I ran several large healthcare systems in Chicago, Northwest Arkansas, Philadelphia, St. Petersburg. The last one being Philadelphia, and it was, we had bought our home here, but commuting back and forth, pandemic hit. Couldn't commute, time to get out, retire, had enough of the BS. And went home and worked myself to death, and then was looking for what was my next thing I wanted to do. And used to be a licensed contractor a million years ago, and thought this would be a really good fit, very social, have a great personality. And that's why I'm here, so.
Okay, so there's some similarities to what she said. Okay. Hilton?
Well, I mean, I used to always travel quite a bit, like you guys know, like over 120 days a year. So I wanted to spend more time with the kids, which it's been 3 years now, but it's all consuming. So sometimes I miss I was thinking of getting a job on an oil rig in Nigeria, like 30 days on, 30 days off. But my wife works shift, so we needed the flexibility. So that was a big thing. And then I didn't want to travel as much. anymore. So for me, it was all about flexibility. My biggest problem is to not get sucked into everyday life with the kids and actually just, I've not been able to, since I've started, to just book myself a time from 8 to 12 or 8 to 1 to do this stuff. I know what I need to do. I just not getting to it. I mean, it's no excuse, but it's just like with the kids and the family, I just get sucked into it. And I think my wife is so spoiled at the moment and used to me doing everything that it's going to be I'm going to have to figure out how to break that pattern. And I'm struggling to do that. Struggling to break the pattern.
Do you work out of the house?
Sorry.
Do you work out of your house?
So I've got a beautiful office. I've got an office.
Does it have a door?
Yeah, it's got a door. It's got
Do you shut the door?
Yeah.
Do you put a do not disturb sign on the door?
You just lock it?
I'm serious.
I should do that. Yeah.
You should. I had to do the same thing. My husband was like, you know, when's lunch?
Yeah.
Fix it
Did you
yourself.
make it?
Yeah, why don't you fix it? But you shut the door. And you just dedicate yourself because this is your business.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be rough. Or you come here and work out of
Yeah.
desk here.
We do that. He and I are both in here a lot.
Yeah, you've both been here.
That's what this room is for.
Jack's done it. He's come in here. I think he just likes us.
I've got a desk in my
It's all about
office.
you.
You wanna use the
say that
desk in
'cause I
my
know it's
office?
not.
I can do it.
Maddie,
I think I have like a bunch of little whys that kind of add up to a
Okay.
big why. Obviously the income potential was
Okay.
one of the things that like turned me onto the field at all, and then I had to look for other things that checked my boxes. I was kind of going towards corporate America, and then I kind of did like a deep dive and was like, I don't want a desk job. I don't want that like set 8 to 5 and then you go home. I wanted kind of to make my own schedule. I know if you're really hardworking and motivated, you can work more than 40 hours a week, and you often do. But I wanted to do something where I could help people and something that would be fulfilling for me. Yeah, while also being able to check my own boxes, I can help other people at the same time.
okay. So,
Yeah, I don't know what you want right now for that.
oh, well, I gave you, yeah, because there was some of that. So I'm gonna see Own Destiny.
Yeah.
Does that put a few things together?
I think so. So obviously it's
Instead of wide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't spell, Austin doesn't spell, we have Nicole, just so everybody knows, I'm putting that out there. Hey Corey, you're online, what's the reason that you chose real estate?
I think the big reason I chose real estate, kind of bouncing off what everyone else has talked about, the potential income coming from the hospitality industry. I worked, in bars for the last 10 years, and I was kind of getting sick of the schedule and not having the ability to have time to myself, missed out on a lot of things, and I was just getting burnt out from it. And I thought that my skills from that industry would translate over well to the industry, the real estate business, just because I do love interacting with people and, helping people out, trying to find, their dream home or whatever it might be. So that was probably my big reason. I needed a change of scenery. And again, I can't remember who was just talking, but I couldn't go to corporate America and, sit behind a desk all day and stare at a computer and just type numbers. So I thought this would be a better avenue to go down.
Okay. Those are, all right, there's quite a bit of similarity in some of this. Okay, so if that's our big why, we chose this. I'm thinking, tell me if this statement is pretty accurate. We could work somewhere else, probably have either similar income in the next 12 months, let's say, or possibly more or less, but let's say in the next 12 months, we could probably get a job that our expectations will be met from a dollars perspective. May not have as much flexibility, and yet I'm going to tack on to what Vicki said, is that the more flexibility that you have, probably the lower your income level is going to be. This is something that treated as a job will get you a lot further. when you stop treating it as a job, and you're your own employer, it's your business. But when you stop that part and it becomes more flexible that, wake up and it's like, oh, it's beautiful outside, I'm going to go and do something other than what you should be doing to build that future, then that can actually dictate what you end up as far as an income level. And there's not also any judgment on the fact that some days we do need to do that to have, to just kind of give ourselves a moment to enjoy life and all of those things. So there's no discounting how important that stuff is too. But you do have to you're gonna make choices. So with real estate, it's going to be what you make of it. Real estate can be that you are that agent who is the sole agent. You may from time to time have somebody help you out to do something, and yet you are your sole agent. Or you can have a business and treat it as a business that 12 months from now, 6 months from now, you may have some true assistance. It could be that it's 2 years from now. That's your plan, that you have some assistance. And that could be a true assistant, not somebody who's out there as a licensed agent working in the field, but more of a behind the scenes doing things that, for one, we don't like to do. I typically do not want to have to do my own paperwork. That's not my favorite thing. I know how to do it, but it's not my favorite thing. So if I were mainly an agent and not in the capacity of helping you guys and doing training, things like that, I would probably have an assistant doing a little bit more of that. And yet I still have assistants, by the way. I'm a fan of assistants, and you can get assistants at a fairly reasonable cost. My big why, and I'll just spend one moment so that you can kind of see where I came from. I was a single parent. I raised my nephew from the time he was 7 because my sister passed away. And when he was about 13 years old, I decided I hated pharmaceutical management, and I decided to quit on a Monday morning. And I actually was working, my best friend was my manager. So I sent her a text. I was like, do you need a letter, or can I just not show up? It was that bad. So stopped. Then another friend of mine said, why don't you look at real estate? I was like, okay. So I got into real estate. What I also figured out pretty quickly was, as a single parent, I had to do something to earn income. There was no anything else that was going to bring me income. It was me and my son. So he was about 13 years old. I was pretty fortunate that he actually could get his own water and things like that. So that allowed me to go show a house, at the drop of a hat if I needed to. And yet, what I learned very quickly, and we didn't have Ignite at that moment, but we did have, there were some ALC type, I don't think she was an ALC at the moment, but there were a couple of those agents that allowed me to shadow them by doing an open house. That was a shadow that I did. Or in the office, I could ask questions. They would teach. So all of those things. So whenever there is someone who is a leader and they're teaching something, I do recommend doing that. But what drove me was, my big why was making sure that my son could go to the college that he needed to go to. He was a smart kid. I wanted to make sure that he did not have any reason not to go to where he needed to go to have the future that he wanted to have. So when he got up to go to school, we're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, things like that. I was like, he's going to school. What am I going to do? I had options because I'm a real estate agent. I could do a lot of different things. I chose to build that business. And I did that by doing things that are in this actual course. And yes, I'm bringing it back to the course, but I did those things because I was looking at the other succeeding agents in the office, and they were making phone calls. They were out there knocking on doors. And when I say knocking on doors, that's more than knocking on doors. That's walking the neighborhood, talking to neighbors, talking to businesses, going to a women's lunch or a networking event or all of those other things. And I'm not naturally a people person. I'm not. I would be pretty happy sitting behind a computer most of the day. But that doesn't bring the numbers that I want to bring. So those were the choices. But I did. Every morning I'd wake up and he'd have to go and do that. And I had a choice. I could go watch TV or go for a walk or whatever. And I chose to look at the mirror and say, if I don't do what I need to do, then he's not going to get to go where he needs to go. That was my why. So I want it to be, no, that's not for your why to be anything like mine. I just want you to feel that. And if I didn't get an appointment, and if I didn't do what I needed to do, and I wasn't getting the numbers that I needed to get, I was gonna go and figure out what else I could do to make sure that I got there. So whatever that is for you, it just get darker. Okay. Felt like the lights got a little bit dimmer. Maybe it was cloud outside or something. Then, okay, or if I fall down, call 911. Whatever happens. So figure out what that is a little bit deeper than what we talked about, and it can be something that helps drive you. We gotta have a reason for what we do, because we can do other things. So when we're running our business or growing our business, we're doing different things, and yet they still are gonna go on top of each other. So lead generating for buyers and sellers. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about what Pamela was mentioning. As real estate agents, it's great if somebody's gonna hand us a lead. I'm not gonna lie, that's a wonderful thing. It ends up costing you one way or another on how you do that. So the way that real estate agents are fed leads, so this is the honest part of the conversation, they're paying for it some way or another. They're either paying for it, and there are a lot of traditional real estate companies that are out there that will have a top agent that will have a listing. The company is advertising that listing, or there are phone calls that, and I say phone calls, emails, whatever it is, through their system that will come in, and they're utilizing the top agent's listing to feed other people. So let's say that Pamela, do you mind if I use you as an
Sure.
example? Okay, so Pamela is our top agent in the office. Congratulations.
I will be.
I know, she's our top agent in the office. So she's got, like, let's say in this kind of a market, which is, kind of crazy, she has 10 listings, let's say, which would actually, even top agents, if you have an active you have 10 active listings right now, that's saying a lot. So she has 10 listings that are up active right now. Phone calls come in, we have our website as a company, leads are coming in, and they go to, oh, I happen to be sitting at the front desk, or I happen to be the next in line, or I happen to be the favorite of the broker, which I'm gonna be honest, that's how it tends to work. So how are you the favorite? Typically because you're bringing in money. So that's how it traditionally is fed. We as Keller Williams, there's one thing that is absolutely vital, and you may not even hear it in some ways, we probably should have it on the wall. We have something called Our Listings, Our Leads. So Pamela has 10 listings. Every single lead that the office gets, not another agent that's doing something on the side and doing advertising for their business, and maybe they're friends with Pamela, so they might be advertising on Facebook or something like that. So they might be getting their own leads, but us as a company, we're driving business to the office, but we're utilizing Pamela's listings, and therefore a phone call comes in and they want to go and see 123 Main Street. We're like, oh, great, 123 Main Street. Well, Hilton is here, he'd be happy to help you. It's your lead, it's your listing. And yet Hilton happens to be the person on floor duty or on the person here. And so Hilton would be the one that gets that lead. That could be a $4 million listing, or it could be, three $500,000 buyers that are coming in, but the lead goes to him. We work that the lead goes back to us as the agent who has the listing. So I worked really hard you worked really hard for those 10 listings. And so you could feed other people, which, I'm not saying that there isn't that may be something that you're good with doing, or you can be building a business that you get those leads that come in. The other thing is you can buy them. There are a lot of agents who are buying Zillow and Realtor.com leads that are out there. So I don't know, have you guys looked at what the going rate is for our general area?
I have, well, first of all, our
4,000?
area is not available.
It's not in Realtor.com and Zillow, you're
It's
out.
not, there was a small area, I believe, in Parrish that was available for $1,700 a month.
Okay, I was gonna say the going rate for like a Lakewood Ranch for you to be part of either Zillow or Realtor.com would probably be around $6,000 per month.
Yeah, and at this point in my career, I'm not willing to put that kind of money into it.
I agree. I would agree, and honestly, I've been in the business a long time, and I did do some advertising, and it never proved enough. If I would have taken the money, if I would have taken the time that it took for me to earn enough money to pay for those lead sources, done either more open houses, knocked on doors, gone to more events, I would have saved myself a boatload of money. I would have. I don't know if you've done any, you've never done any of that.
I didn't buy
Absolutely
that.
not. I would
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah.
I talked to Austin about the Zillow, and he's like, no, that's your competitor. And
But
So,
please don't, yeah, I could have a side conversation about Zillow.
Yeah, aren't they, isn't it also those leads, like, I just love houses, so I used to check Zillow all the time, just because I love houses, I love think who lives in them and everything, so I would have been a lead, but I wasn't buying any houses. So you just paid for me
Sure did.
To look,
because, and I'm not going in, yeah.
So internet leads are about
Realtor.
they're about 2%, if not even less sometimes.
Yeah,
So
you
keep
would
in
be a
mind,
taxi cab driver.
yeah, oh, well, no, I liked looking at the pictures, I never.
she was the email person that they never met with.
No, I never emailed people, I just looked on Zillow.
No, but they would
But they
email
never leave
from
me.
an
Yeah,
agent
nobody ever called.
Nobody ever calls you?
They
Well, that's
should've.
just sad.
I know,
They
because
paid for the
I
lead,
used,
but they never called you.
I used Zillow all the
so they
time.
may be like the Facebook ads, you get a lot of, we had this conversation, and you get a lot of bogus stuff out of that. I mean, I got a couple of buyers with very unrealistic expectations, but for.
It goes back, it's about a
99%
2%.
of it was bogus.
It is, it's a 1 or 2% is what you end up with.
Yeah,
So it's-
even the golden letter, I've heard, is like, if you're sending it to people you don't know, it's a 1%
Mhm.
chance.
Well, it's a
That's more than I
quantity.
had.
I was just gonna say, it's a quantity thing.
Yeah.
So let's continue through part of this, and there's gonna be a whole section on lead generating, but I did wanna clear that part up, that you're going to pay for the leads somehow, some way. That's how you're gonna do it. Meeting people tends to be your quickest and strongest lead, because they've met you. They've made a decision on whether they like you or not. Not everybody is gonna like us, and not everybody is going to not like us. So you just gotta meet enough people. And you will need to be doing something like that. Now, if you do the things that are less aggressive or less, and when I say aggressive, meaning that you're out and about, the more actively generating, if you're more passive and you're sending out letters and doing online advertising, you just need a bigger pool. So however big that pool is. And we had a call last month, I want to say, with top agents. So the Manatee Sarasota Association of Realtors had a call. So I don't know if those of you that were here, it was one that I was pushing a lot because I'm on the committee. We had 2 buyers agents that were top buyers agents in the area. I know what their numbers are. That's how we picked them as speakers. And both of them are doing a lot of Zillow and Realtor.com leads, which I actually was surprised about. I did not know that. I hadn't had the call where I listened to the call in the same way. I didn't know that that's how they got their business. So they were paying an awful lot of money, because I know how much it is. They were probably paying $6,000, if not more, $1,000 every single month. And they were top agents. So they were paying for that. Now, the interesting thing is I do know what their numbers were. And we have agents that are in this office that have pretty good numbers, and they are not buying leads like that. They're doing it in other ways, and their marketing is a lot less expensive.
I think what I've learned is there's no one thing, like having been in finance, I'm very black and white. So what is the one thing that's gonna work? And the one thing that works for one person is not the one thing that works for another person.
You
So
are
that-
correct.
That's really what I've learned in my lesson 2 months in, is you just keep doing the different things and you'll find something that works eventually, and
Yeah.
that will be.
And if you don't like it, quit doing it.
To a degree, there's a little bit of stuff that you still have to do as in general.
Yeah, But I mean, if you're doing something that doesn't bring you pleasure and it's a strain to do every day,
Right.
you shouldn't be doing it.
Find something else to do. Find joy in it for sure.
I'm enjoying it, even though I beat my stuff up, I'm enjoying everything I'm doing. So I'm not enjoying it, it's just what's gonna.
You want to get the
stick.
results.
Yeah. and
wanna get
we'll
the results.
there. So I'm used to doing a lot of work and seeing results, and then it's like, as I told someone Sunday, it's like showing up to work every day and working all day for free.
We do that sometimes. It's
But
about,
it will
it's about the
eventually
end.
get there. You don't get there, I would not get there by not doing that, so.
Correct. Yeah, doing nothing isn't gonna get you anywhere at all. So the lead generating is the growing the business. And if you're in this room, and I'll even speak for myself, I mean, I work with you guys and I am a licensed agent. So I'd like more business in general. I'd like more agents in this office. I'd like for you guys to produce, which is part of my numbers that go along with it. And so there's the lead generating. If the lead generating is not done, then I'm not gonna have the numbers that I want, which then works with the team leader and then the operating principal in our office is Brian. And then of course, personally, I do sell from time to time, a friend or a family, but again, that's not my main thing. So lead generating is growing the business. Other things that are going to grow the business that you may think of as not necessarily getting you the piece of business right away is making seller listing presentations and getting listings. If you're not practicing and putting together your listing presentation or having that ready to go to prep so that you sit down with someone to list their house, why in the world would they ever list their house with you? If you have never spent the time to prep, to get ready for that appointment, a listing or a buyer, why would they ever choose to work with you? You're expecting to go to a $700,000 listing, let's say, and your listing presentation is not ready. Why would they list with you? I'm gonna get kind of, I'm gonna honestly, I'm gonna be a little bit, yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit like real or mean. I don't really care if you wanna call me mean or whatever. If you're not prepared for that appointment, why in the world would that person ever want to list or buy with you? Okay, now answers.
Because they know your mother.
As a what?
Because they know your mother.
They know your mother. Now that could happen from time to time, but how many people know your mother?
Right.
It may work once in a while. That may, because you are going to get a shot. Honestly, that goes back to if you call enough people, and not that making phone calls every single day is my favorite thing to do, but if you call enough people, I'm telling you, you're actually going to talk to somebody that's going to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm done with whatever's happening in their world. List my house. You just need to call enough people. Now, I don't know if that would be 800 people or 50 people. You just need to find that one person that day is really aggravated or really purposeful about selling their house, and you may be at the right time actually be able to list it, because that does happen. I just don't know if it's going to be 1,000 numbers that you have to dial or 50.
There are some agents in the office here that don't take presentations with them to do listings.
So keep in mind, the presentation is not only the actual, I show up and I give and hand them something and I do a full-on presentation on a wall. It's not only that, it's the conversation, even if you have nothing. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared for that. You need to be prepared, because if you show up and they ask a question, what if they were to say, and I've had this happen before, it happened once, where I showed up because I had always done listing presentations in a conversation format. Now, I always had documents that I had to give them a folder and things like that, but I had never had anybody that actually wanted a presentation. When I sat down with someone who was about 3 years into the business, I still gave the presentation, don't get me wrong, but it was more of a conversation. And I sat down with someone who was like, "Where's your presentation?" And I was like, "Oh, poop," because I had not given a full-on presentation, but I had had those conversations over and over again with actual sellers, and also I practiced. So I had a couple of real estate buddies that we would do power days and do our presentations and do them to each other and have script practice and all of those things. We took it very seriously. And with that, I was able to be a top agent within 2 years. But I showed up and did that because I assumed I could tonight have somebody that wants me to come and talk to them about listing their house. And I wanted to be ready. But if you don't do that, why in the world would they, right? Unless they know your mother. Which is great, those happen, those totally happen. The other things that we need to do are making and doing our listing presentations. So this goes to, many of us have had conversations with someone and we think that we're going to be working with them, and yet we never went through full on how to help them in buying a home. So Maddie, do you mind, are you showing an example? So Maddie, how long have you been with us? 10 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so she did a social media post on a friend from high school?
Mhm.
Okay, so friend from
Not
high school.
even really a friend, just someone I like had
Peripheral.
a class with.
Okay,
So
but
it
he
was really
wants-
weird. Yeah.
but he wants to buy a house. He may, we don't know. He expressed an interest, let's be fair. Whether or not it turns into anything is another story. And yet, you had, with going through, which we have it here, I actually got that from here, from this class, the questions to ask. So in some ways, she did a sort of buyer's presentation with him. She asked him questions. Now, she's not fully trained on everything out there, but she went through, it's a list of questions, and she asked them questions. So having a buyer consultation of sorts is what we mean by a buyer's listing and getting buyers as clients. You need to have that because you need to know how is it that you're going to be able to help them, or if you're going to be able to help them. And we're not completely sure about them. But they raised their hand. So she's, at least at this point, has practiced now having a conversation with the buyer. Yay. Right? Yay. You're also previewing real estate. So we live in the information world. We should be looking online every single day. What's happening in our area where we live? We should be checking those out. What's happening with the houses? What are they doing in the kitchens, in the bathrooms, in the neighborhoods that we want to sell? Because then, as time goes on, you go to a listing or you talk to somebody because you're out at an event and they start talking about blank community and you happen to be on a daily basis. And I recommend just spend, a minute or two on each listing for the neighborhoods that you like. It's really easy right now because we have like 1 or 2 a day, maybe, even if it was 5. But in normal circumstances, we might have 15 houses that came on the market in your general area and review them online. On the weekends, if you're not doing an open house, you should be going into homes. You see a sign, go into the home if you can. How do you know when you walk through the doors what the house is like if you're never going into the home? So as newer agents, definitely, to get to know these neighborhoods as an agent, go to open houses. If you see something online that is a vacant home, make an appointment and go and see it as a preview. Do not do a preview of a home that has people that live there because you're inconveniencing them and you don't want to have to do that. But if there's a vacant home and the instructions, it says things like go and show or set and go, whatever the term is, go and see those houses because you're going to talk to somebody. They're going to tell you, yeah, I want a house that has, where the hallways are. This is, I'm going to describe my husband when we bought a house. He wanted to open up the door and have a little bit of whether it was a foyer or his hallways. He didn't like the narrow hallways. Well, he's weird, but it was all about the hallways. So when he opened the door, he didn't want to walk in and have something tight or walk into like a dining room or anything like that. Well, you don't always know that from pictures. And there isn't a model for everything. So when you have a conversation with someone and you're able to talk about, well, there is this one builder that has homes more of what you're saying, and you're able to then pull up that builder or pull up some plans or pull up a neighborhood and show them that, and they're like, yeah, that person was listening to me, right? That's why it's so important to be previewing for instances like that. It's a little crazy. crazy though, so hopefully you don't have him as a client. It's terrible. Then you get into the running of the business. So what is running the business? Marketing seller listings. So in this room, you guys might have some listings that you can market, but are there other agents that you're allowed to market for? Have you asked them? So Hilton's been with us for a little while. Pamela, I don't know if you've asked this question. You can ask agents that have listings and you can start marketing their listings. And you just have to do certain things and make sure you give them credit, but most people don't look at the little bylines. So if you haven't done that, there are ways that you can market other people's listings. You might be able to do it through different things online. You might be doing some kind of a letter if you wanted to do a mailer, and be careful. I mean, mailers can be expensive. So I'm not necessarily saying that that should be your main focus, but you could be marketing other listings. You could also be marketing what is expected to happen somewhere. So if we use, like Mill Creek area, which is a very, very hot area by me, I could be marketing and saying things like new listings, upcoming listings, things like that, like get a list. And I could be doing that on Facebook, which I will guarantee you, because I've done it, will get you some leads. But I do go back to, you're looking at if it's online, 1 or 2% is really what you're expected in a 12-month period of time to start having business come from that.
So I did some class yesterday through MLS, it was lead generation, and it actually had a little tool where you could share on social media all the things available in a certain zip code. And then if they inquire, it directs it back to you. So
There's lots of ways that you can do that. Our MLS is expensive. I mean, I will be honest, it's more expensive than a lot, and yet there are a lot of tools that you can use. So not only that, the builders have tools that you can do similar types of things.
There was also that conversation about sharing the new builds on there. So it was a great couple-hour class.
Well, I'm glad you got a lot out of it.
I haven't taken it. It was a lot about lead generation, different mechanisms.
Yeah. And you might find, I'll tell you the ad that has always brought me the most amount of business when I do it, and it's about homes with pools. If I were to run a Facebook ad with homes with pools, now you have to spend a decent amount of money, but that tends to get the most amount of leads. But that's also the way that I've done them. I can't guarantee you could do it, and just play with it a little bit. And you can run ads if you're doing them on social media for like $5, $10. Don't spend a ton of money and start testing it to see what you end up getting.
The thing I got the most out of was, it was a beach theme, life is short, and I just kind of tailored it around, what you're waiting on.
Okay, whatever works. We don't always know. Sometimes it's like I've done a goofy ad for agents, and I thought that I was like, I'm gonna have so many people because it was so cute. No, not cute. It was, I thought it was funny. I asked some, other agents who thought it was funny. Nothing. And then I did one that was more serious, and a ton of activity from that one. So is that always you as a judge thinking this is going to be excellent? It doesn't always work that way. Let's just run through these so we can continue on and make sure that we stay on time. So marketing seller listings, showing buyer houses, that is running the business. So remember, the activities that we do as a real estate agent. So marketing those listings, showing buyer houses. So yes, we do. Sometimes we show buyers' houses and they never end up buying. That happens. The hope is that that's a very small percentage. And if it's not a high enough percentage, then you're probably not asking enough questions. There's something about it that they're not ready. What's their motivation? Negotiating contracts is a big part of our business. So you can lose deals. I had a closing yesterday and they were ready to not close. And my seller, I had the listing, my sellers were fine with not closing because the buyers were really not nice. Really not nice. They're like, oh, the pool wasn't working. It just needed more water, which is what we figured out. But they're like, yeah, they don't want to close. That's okay. We'll be happy to put it back on the market. Because the buyers were so mean in their eyes. So negotiating contracts is part of our job and keeping them together when it's appropriate. Again, the seller really they didn't want to close, but that's what they did. Negotiating contract, transaction management to closing. So I mentioned when we were talking a little bit earlier, as you build your business, you may decide that you want to have a transaction coordinator handle the paperwork. That is okay. Us as real estate agents, where we tend to shine is when we're talking to our clients and when we're showing them homes and listing their properties. That's what we do. That's our main focus. You can get bogged down with paperwork. And so transaction management is something that you can leverage out. You can leverage that out with your first deal. It's about between $100 and $200 per transaction, depending on what you want done. If you want everything done, then it's more like $400 to $500. But for $100 to $200, you can have somebody manage a lot of the paperwork. There is a vendor management. So sometimes you're going to have a client who you need to help, whether they're doing their inspection, or if you have a seller and you need to have somebody, a contractor come in and fix something. That's your vendor management. Then you get into some of the other things that a lot of agents don't actually do anything. They don't set goals. Very, very common. I talk to agents quite a bit. A lot of them, they may have an idea, but they're not truly setting goals. They're not putting pen to paper and setting goals that they have any intention of doing anything with. Your compliance and risk management, our office does most of that, but please be careful. Don't do the wrong thing. You can get in trouble. Attending training and getting coaching. Congratulations, you're here. So I'm going to count that as your training. And then managing money. If you do not do this, and I'm purposely saying this, remember, you do have to pay your own taxes. So when you put money into the bank, it's not all yours. You're putting money into the bank that at some point you will have to pay your taxes on too. So I'm a fan of 2 accounts. I take a certain percentage out of every check that I get, and it's super easy for me. I can use a calculator or whatever. I can transfer the money, super easy. Please do that. It is terrible how many people I talk to around tax season, which real estate agents always extend. So our tax season tends to be October instead of when it should be. And then if you're a business, it's earlier. So there's a lot of agents that are having transactions to actually pay their taxes around October. It can happen. So be careful. So managing your money is important. So we did talk a little bit about Spark. So I'm going to
Hi, I'm Gary Keller.
Wow.
This course will allow you to get off to a fast.
Hold on. I apologize.
Wow, we're all awake now.
So sorry. Hold on. Sorry about that, Corey. I don't know if that was really loud on your side. On our side, it was painful.
Not too bad.
I'm good. It's pretty bad over here. Okay, let me get myself set up here. Okay, so this is probably gonna work. Okay, so let me. Oh, shoot. Hold on, now I gotta get back to.
Hi, I'm Gary Keller. This course will allow you to get off to a fast start you can build on. Because if you repeated the principles every 90 days for a year, believe me, you have an awesome first year. And just as important, you would have built the foundation and momentum for your entire career. It is practical, realistic, and easy to apply. It's about the fundamentals that determine your level of success in the business of real estate. From our research with top agents, we have found that they too started their careers with these fundamentals, and they continue to do them along with their teams to this very day. And it's not hard. It just requires a little focused effort, a few hours every day. Now, there is really just one way to achieve the goal. It's lead generation. Other skills are important, yet without leads to work with, your skills won't be the thing. Dealing with business never takes precedence over what? Finding business. Never. Research shows that top producing agents make lead generation their #1 priority and the one thing they make sure they always get done. You can do this. And when you do, you will get the leads, the relationships, the experiences, the career, and the income that you want and deserve. Go get them, and good luck.
Sorry, that was so loud before. Okay. So as he said, nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. Without the leads, you have nothing. So for Vicki, if you don't mind me asking, where have you had, if you think back, maybe not at the very beginning, but maybe like 5 years ago, where do most of your leads come from? Because it's a different world now that we have the internet. That's why I didn't want to like go back to.
Yeah, but see, I'm going back to commercial because that's what I did.
Yeah, it's still.
My leads come from people that I ask for help. The people that I've dealt with in the past, whether it was real estate or commercial flying. Who do you know is looking to buy or sell real estate? You know,
Do you lead generate every week, every day,
every day.
every day?
Every day. And I probably am not doing it right, but I am on this phone. That's why I have these earpieces. I'm trying to close a deal today, so that's why I keep jumping up and down when the phone rings. But I walk. And I talk to people when I'm walking. And a lot of times they'll say, where the hell are you at? Because they'll hear the traffic in the background. I'm walking John Ringling Bridge, or I've got walking around downtown. And I just talk to people. That's where I get a lot of my leads. And anytime I'm talking to somebody, it's never about me. It's always about them. What's going on in your life? How's it going? You know,
Do you cycle through like every 3 months, every quarter?
what
you
is
go
that?
back
What
to?
is that class that we did where never ending referrals?
Uh-huh.
Between this one and never ending referrals is my two favorite classes. And I can't tell you how many times, this is probably the fourth or fifth time I've done this.
Mhm.
But on never ending referrals, we have 2 letters of the alphabet. And it could be A and Z.
This is what we refer to in our team meetings. When you see those letters,
Yeah.
what she's referring to.
And you just pick up your phone and everybody's last name that starts in A. Those are the people you call for the day. And then when you get done with the A's, you go to the next letter. And it's every week.
Mhm.
And it's a 3 to 4 minute call. You can make 10 calls in an hour. Easy. And if you've got 3 hours of lead gen, you talk to 30 people. I talk to people probably on an average of 20 people a day.
So 20 people a day. And this course talks about 10 a day. And yet 20 people is bold, which is 20. So she's an active agent, so she's got deals that are happening. And yet she's not stopping the lead generating part, because what kind of business are you gonna have in 90 days if you never call them?
You don't want this.
That's how you have a more steady
Yeah.
steady
And
business.
if you don't have anything on your shelf, you have nothing to sell. I mean,
Yeah.
most of us had a retail job at one time and somebody come in and say, oh, I like that skirt. You're out of stock. Well, it's the same thing here. You know, if you haven't got anything on your shelf to sell, you're selling somebody else's products.
She's talking about listings.
Yeah, you're selling, you know, a listing agent is the one that makes the money.
Spending your time asking for listings is really where you can grow. How about you? How do you do?
I get a lot of, well, in the past, it was face-to-face contacts. All right, open houses, just like Vicki says, talking to people. All right, staying in curiosity, continue asking questions, knowing that the person that asks the questions controls the content of the conversation. And basically just trying to develop some sort of rapport with the individual to find out what it is that I can do to help them get where they want to go. Wherever that is, whether it's here or there. I'm not a big queasy about asking them, well, if you don't want to, I work in this area, but you're looking over in Orlando. All right, do you have an agent over in Orlando? I have several good friends of mine over there that I can refer you to. Okay, so if I don't get this, at least I get the possibility of a referral. For sellers, it's just phone calls, expired listings, staying in touch with your database. All right, I think I've called 3 people in the last 4 or 5 weeks. All right. Oh, you know what? We're thinking about selling this place. Okay. All right. Well, and it's just, okay. Well, but you know what? We're thinking about selling this place, but we're going up north for 4 months. Call us when we get back. Absolutely.
What better time to listen while you're up north and the house is vacant?
I tried that.
Sometimes, yes.
We're thinking about selling, but we're gonna go up north for 4 months.
I
It's
asked
like,
the
that doesn't
question.
make sense.
I asked the question, okay? And they said, no, we'll take care of it when I get back. Okay. All right.
It still is a question to ask though, because sometimes,
They don't think about that.
exactly, sometimes they don't realize, oh, that would be a really good thing.
Actually,
while I'm not there.
The conversation was, is, well, you're up north. That would be a great time to get this place listed and sold.
Right,
All right. No, we don't want to do that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Call you in a couple of months. All right. And then I just put them on a drip campaign through a command, and I let them see everything that's going on.
And the
Not
prices
necessarily in the
going up.
market, but where they are.
being more local.
Can I ask them, because they're in it now, how do you answer the question? Because I know some of my friends have been like, I'm thinking of selling, but there's nothing out there. Like, we sell, what do we do? Where do we go? Because there's nothing out there to buy. How do you guys answer that question right
That's a
now?
very common question today.
Yeah,
All right, and I start again, staying curiosity. Well, what are your plans when you move? Why are you planning to sell now?
Yeah.
Do you have someplace specifically you want to go? If you're selling now to just cash out and go, great. If not, we need to understand where you're going, what's available, where you're going. All right, and be sure that when you get there, you have someplace to sleep that night.
right, yeah,
Okay.
because my
Well,
neighborhood is hot
I
right now,
choose
so
not
they
to
can
shy
do
away
anything.
from it.
Yeah.
I'll
He's right.
just take it right on the nose. And I have told a bunch of people, now's not the time for you. Okay? Now's not the time. I told a guy yesterday, you know what? Next year might be better. Market conditions might be better. They're happy where they are. They want to come down here, but they don't want to come down here and get pushed into something that, they don't want to buy an $800,000 listing and pay $1.2 million for it,
Right.
which is exactly what's happening today. Okay? And if you're honest with them and you tell them that, for me, it just gives me more credibility because it shows them that I'm thinking of them, not me.
That's right.
It's always about the clients.
Absolutely.
It's
So
never
take
about-
your-
it's
Take
never
yourself
about us.
out of the decision making. And another thing, so do you have anything different as far as if somebody is like, well, I'd like to sell, but
No,
don't
and
have anywhere to
you
go.
need to know what the reasons for selling are, just like Jack said.
Well, I
Because
know
they
what
wanna
they
cash
are.
out.
Yeah, it's just because they're thinking, because there's just no houses where I live right now, and so many people are putting on our Facebook, everything we want to buy, and they're getting the letters from realtors, and they're, but they don't have a plan as to where they would go.
Think about this, they're getting letters from realtors who are telling them, whoa, sell your house. Why not be that one lone voice in the darkness that says, maybe not now?
Well, that's what I have been saying, so
Okay.
what's your next move?
You
Before
single yourself
yeah,
out, maybe not now.
Yeah. Where would you go?
Where
Do
do
you
where
really
you gonna
wanna
go?
live there?
And
Because
do
we
you
do
have-
have a pool, I mean, we have a nice amenities.
Is there
What's your
anything-
reason for selling
Anything, one
besides
more
cash?
It's
option,
cash.
One more option?
just one more option. Do you have any more to add to what he said?
Are there rentals out there right now? No, there's not even rentals, right?
So-
That's why they're building apartment complexes now. I mean,
Yeah.
They're going like crazy.
So let me give you some other extra scripts that are working and can work. And this is not to dismiss that it's always about the client. It's always about the client. So we are pretty regularly having rent backs, which is not my favorite thing in most instances, totally not my favorite thing. And yet we are having them, you want to stay in your house? Fine. You want to stay in their house for a year? Fine.
But-
So there are some options.
There's some limits on that too, though, right?
You know,
Yeah, it's a 59-day limit.
There's 59-day limit depending on what it is that they're doing. If that community allows renting, then they just become a renter. The person has bought it, they're an investor and they're able to rent.
Right.
And we
you
do.
just have to be careful with that. That's all.
Oh, no, you totally do. And don't go by what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know. I mean, as far as like telling you how to do it, talk to the lender on what you can do. And yes, there is a 59-day limit, but if it's a community that allows for renting, they can be an investor. If the buyers have the ability to be an investor, and they can be in a rental situation, and they could be month to month if that's something that works. The reason that I'm saying this also is someone else will say that. I will guarantee you there's someone else that says that, and if that makes sense to them, there's a lot of people it does not make sense to, because they're like, well, then what do I do after that? And that's a scarcity, totally get that. But then there are also some that is like, well, if I could do that and then not be worried about the sale of this and just be worried about, I find something, I have the cash in hand and I'm able to purchase. Because remember, if they need lending, that puts them on the bottom of the totem pole. But if they have the cash to buy because they've sold and they're renting month to month, they may be able to do that. But again, that's not forcing them to do it. As Jack said, this is about them. This is not about you and your commission check. But if they're looking at it as like, how long can we ride this ride? Because if they do have the ability to get $800,000 for a $500,000 house, which is kind of happening now too,
Right.
it's like if you're gonna benefit and you have the ability and it makes sense to you, then that might be an option.
Yeah, and that's why I want to know is because I do want their best interest. And
Oh, yeah.
we've got a main realtor in my neighborhood that is not looking out for people. And she's whispering in everybody's ear how much money they can get and she's not looking out for, because she doesn't really care what's there for her neighbor.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? So I am trying to be the person of reason, but I'm not as educated as I need to be, so that's why I'm asking is.
Well, you do, you have it.
You have it. You just haven't asked enough questions.
It always goes back there. I'll tell you, there is always a way. So if somebody comes to you with it, they have a desire to do something, there are a lot of different ways that you can do different things. So if their intention is, I do want to sell, I don't want, this isn't my forever home or whatever, and they do want to sell, they truly want to sell, not that we're telling them how, much money they'll make and all that, which those things could be true at the same time, then have those match. But there's almost always a way. And when you're the agent that can say, well, here, let's talk about some different ways that we can do this.
Yeah.
None of them may work for you. I'm okay with that. But I also know that you're getting letters, you're having phone calls, you're gonna have a realtor come to you and tell you that they can do something. And I just wanna say, here are the things that can be done.
Oh, yeah, no, I've got
Because
3
they
people
very
that are
well
talking
could-
to me about it. Just
Yeah, because
she's
I'll-
whispering hard in their ear.
Well,
I'm just worried about them.
Well, I will, in real life, there's someone who was, a friend of mine told this person who has been renting his house out and lives in Pennsylvania. And so he called me and said, well, I want to sell my house, and he's not in a situation that it's not that he wants to move somewhere else, but he has some other things going on. I was like, well, here are some different things that we can do. And he was like, I'm getting letters, I'm getting phone calls, and nobody has come up with like 3 of the things that you just said. And these aren't things that I've done. It's not things that I came up with. I stole them because I'm on calls and I'm in training and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I'm talking to other agents. I'm talking to House Match and saying, what are you guys doing to get people to list their house? And they're out there saying this and that. They're putting offers in and having people live in the house for free, that are for $1, whatever the rent is they want to, by paper, they have to do. But they're putting an offer, say you can live in this house for a year, again, if they're able to. And, you know, we'll buy the house top of the market. And that actually, in one case, still didn't get them the house.
Thank you, that was actually, you answered my questions very well, thank you.
So I did give you guys the heads up of the Spark and Elements. So it's a two-part. You want not only the actual course, but you want the homework. So we do want to reach out to our sphere. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, Vicki did mention that there is that chicken list that you have, and then there's also the people that know, love you, and trust you, or at least like you. Many of the first clients that new agents have tends to be somebody that they know. That's just what our numbers are saying, and yet that might not be where you get your piece of business. It might not. It could very well, because we had this happen, it could very well be that you're at an open house and you meet somebody and that person you've never met before, you don't know them, and you end up selling a house for them. That can happen too. But we do find that a lot of the times it is a person who we know. So your sphere, our recommendation is that your sphere should know that you are a real estate agent. And when we talk about sphere, there's one piece that I don't think that is listed here, but I'm going to refer to it as your core advocates. And we want to have those people that want to see us succeed. So I think of, I have my parents and my sister are both deceased, so it's just my cousin, so some peripheral, can't speak.
Peripheral.
So there's other people. But I have 2 cousins that are like, they're amazing, and they don't live here, you know, but they live in Georgia, and they are the ones that's like, oh, you are, you know, they're the people that know, love me, and trust me, and want me to do well in whatever it is that I'm going to do. They would be part of my core advocates, because that's who they are. A lot of times it's our parents, our relatives, or somebody, our best friends. Now, sometimes it's somebody that's like, okay, I love them to death, but yeah, I don't really want them out there promoting me because they're a little wacky. That could be the case. But if you have those people that are in your world that can be part of that core advocate, and you can get to where you have 20 people, ideally they are in our area and they are not other real estate agents, that you can have as part of you. They want you to succeed and you want them to succeed. They may have another business. They could be, you know, a mom in a, you know, that has a small child, that they're always out there at the parks and all these other places. But they're the people that'll shout it from the mountaintops, you know, mountains here in Florida, but they'll shout to somebody when they hear somebody is saying, I want to buy or sell, you need to go and talk to him or her. You want those people. And those people are ones that you can pour into when it comes to meeting them, taking them out to lunch. First of all, these should be people that you like and that you want to spend time with, but they're the ones that you really do. You tell them, this is what I want to do. I launched my real estate career, or, you know, I'm a real estate agent, and here's something that I really want to do in the next 12 months. What is it that you want to do? You have a pest control business. You are a blank, whatever it is that you do. How can I help you? And how can we just together build our business? That's something that works over and over again by having those core advocates. I'm going to definitely recommend that, and that would be part of your sphere. The other thing is part of your sphere is many of us we might go and get our nails done. I know Jack goes to the barber every
3 days
Every 3 days.
or sooner.
Or sooner. Just grows so quickly. Wherever it is that you go, you're interacting with people on a regular basis. So I'm going to give you an instance, and I did it on purpose for today. remember, my main goal is like, I like doing this. I like doing this more than showing houses and doing the other things that are part of it. I went to the dry cleaners yesterday, and all of a sudden, apparently it was the time of the day. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon. I ran over to the dry cleaners, and there were like 4 people in there. So at my dry cleaners, they ask for your phone number. That's how they look us up. So I said, I happen to have a New Jersey area code. Because when cell phones became a thing, I was living in New Jersey. So I said my phone number, and the woman behind the counter had lived in New Jersey as well. So that started a conversation. 3 people, I think there were 5 of us total in there. There's somebody else who was like, yay, Cherry Hill, which is an area totally different than where I lived in New Jersey. So it's like, we got the north, we got the south, so we started chatting. I was like, well, if you know anybody that's moving into this area, I'm a real estate agent. I gave my card to them. I'm giving you that as an example. That is not something that I enjoy doing. You talked about enjoy. I do not do that. I am perfectly happy to stand there, give them my number, tell them this, and walk away. It's not my thing in people that I don't know to just do that naturally. Now, I'm also a pretty strong personality, so I'm okay with doing that because I really don't care if they don't like me, if they never want to talk to me, if they thought that I was being just annoying. I really don't care. They're not paying my bills. I really just don't care. So that gave me 2 people who could very well turn into something else. I do not know if that'll turn, they did not say, well, yes, I'm going to tell Mary that no, it wasn't that. I'm not misleading you in that regard. But doing things like that gives you an opportunity to talk to more people. So do that. There were 5 people there. I did give 2 cards, but I probably could have been more intentional and maybe even given it to the other ones. But there was a lady standing in the corner there. She was just like, I don't know what's going on. New Jersey people. I don't know what she was doing. But that's what you want to do. By doing that, and again, Vicki is always able to help us with this. She's making phone calls every day. Her intention is that she's doing close to 20 every day. For the most part, your business is, most of the time, is pretty steady.
Not in commercial, no, but that's
That's true.
a different story.
That is a very different story. That is true. Yeah, and yet you wouldn't have a deal closing in 18 months if it weren't for the things that you're doing today.
Exactly.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, commercial is another animal. So for those of us in residential, there is more of a 30 to 60 day cycle. We meet somebody that wants to buy a house. They tend to purchase that house within the next 60 days. Sometimes it's longer, but they're ready and it tends to be in the next 60 days. If they're a seller, it could be that you're cultivating that and they may need to do things to the house. So it might be in the next 90 days. But the things that you're doing today are going to dictate what happens we're in June, September. So if you do not have somebody that you are working with today, you most likely do not have a closing happening in September. So you guys feel the same?
Your last paycheck is your last closing.
So how we have less of those severe dips, and we still will have, there will be a little bit of a dip, a dip in high and low. The way that we have less of those is by the consistency, even when you're busy. I will tell you, your first and second, and even maybe up till your 5th transaction, it is all consuming. It's new to you. Everything that you're doing, or most of the things that you're doing, are things that you're learning along the way.
I have a question, the example you gave with the dry cleaner, so I probably, like everybody's probably had a lot of those kind of situations happen. But in reality, they could have thrown your card away the minute they walked out the door. And
Probably did.
And have other agents that they know.
Oh, there were 2 cards sitting by the cash register for other people.
So how could you have taken that situation, maybe not particularly that one, because if I were the lady waiting to get my dry cleaner, I would have been like, seriously, hurry up.
I know, yeah, that lady was there.
How could you turn that around that you ended up with their information? Because I had the same thing happen in a restaurant, and I had a great time with about 5 ladies who were there vacationing, celebrating. Ended up giving them my cards, a couple of them maybe looking, But when I look back on it, I wish I had taken the time to get their information.
You asked for it.
Exactly. You asked for it, so first of all, the person who was behind the counter in the dry cleaner, she's not somebody that was there before, but she happens to manage a couple of them. So I found out, so I can actually get in contact with her. I wasn't worried about getting her card because I can just show up or I can call and ask for her. So that's one thing. The other person I could have, and yes, and I did not do this in this instance, but I could have seen, what does she do? Does she have a card of sorts? Or if there's a connection that there could have been made. I did not go into any of those things. And this is the thing that we all have to be ready for. I had to get back here and I had 4 minutes to get back for an appointment. And so I did not go any further. And yet the right thing to do is at any time is to ask for their information as well.
Yeah, that's what I most of the time.
You'll miss it
Try to
sometimes.
do that is before I give my card, I ask, do you have do you have a card? But there have been times where I think it just really didn't dictate that I would get their information.
You
Like
got
that, I
your
think.
cell phone on you, you're standing in line. And, oh yeah, we might be interested. Great, give me your number so I can put it in my database. That's all you need. And then give them your card. And say, here, when you get ready, call me, but I'll know that you're calling me because I've got your number identified. With all the spam calls out there right now, I might have identification who's calling me. Just give their number. If you can't get a card from them, at least get their number. If they don't want to give you that, they're probably not sincere anyway.
You can find out what they do. And 9 times out of 10, what they do is something that we could possibly be referring business to them as well. That happens a lot. Hey, I work for BB&T. Great, you guys do, of course you know this, but you guys do mortgages, right? That type of thing. You could do that. And that's one of the better ways that I've always found of getting their information is because they'll have a card or they'll tell me, yeah, I work for the one, on the corner of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard and 64. And then I at least have that information.
Yeah, I think in your situation, it was probably, you did the best in that situation, but.
I could have asked. I didn't. I could have asked.
Another easy way, you always have your business cards, you always have a pen. The back of my business card is white and it's uncoded. Okay, so it's just plain paper. I hand them 2 business cards. This is here. This one's for you. And if you write your contact information on the back of this one, you can set something up.
Here's the
Or
other,
they won't. Same thing with
Yeah.
asking, Vicky asking, can I put, let me put you in your phone. Same thing. You ask for it.
here's the other thing too. I always carry gel pens because I write letters all the time and I like gel ink. I've always got that pen handy. It's in the side of my purse, it's stuck in my phone, whatever. And I don't want to take my phone out, give me your number. And I write on my hand. People look at me like I'm crazy. I say, oh, that's a professional habit from years ago, because when we were getting vectors for flying, we'd write on our palm for the vectors, for the direction you go to. I've been doing that for 45 years. And people look at you like you're nuts, but they don't forget because you wrote the number
They
down on
remember
your
you.
phone.
They remember you, yeah.
Yeah, they remember you. That's the whole key, is you want them to remember you. And when you get their number, you can always text them and say, hey, it was really great to meet you. Send me your address. I'd like to keep you in my database. Maybe I know somebody that wants to use BB&T, or you'll find out what they do. For every question they ask you, you ask 2 back. You get them engaged. People love to talk about themselves.
So to go on to that, there is a formula for having conversations. If you're not familiar with how to bring it into a business conversation, there is a term called FORD, which is family. Ask about their family. O, ask about their occupation. What is it that they do? If they're retired or they're not in a job 9 to 5 type of thing, there's probably something that they enjoy doing. They may be into gardening, they may be into the beach, they may, So those types of things. Recreation, what do they do for fun? A lot of people looking for a vacation coming up now that we can go more places. And then the dreams. So the dreams tend to be kind of, some of us will have a little bit of trouble when it comes to asking that question about what their dreams are. Well, what are you thinking of doing? So if they're about to retire, let's say, they're saying, yeah, it's like 2 more years at blank. It's like, well, what are you thinking you're gonna do after that? So it's just a forward forecasting. And those are conversations just naturally. If you've ever gone to like a religious service or something like that, there's a formula to how we do things. There's a formula to sales. And guess what, guys? This is a bit of a sales job. It's a relationship job first, but it is a sales. Gotta ask for the business. So Ford is an easy way for you guys to remember that. We do want you to know what the tools are with Keller Williams. And this is just a recap. And so for time purposes, I do want to lean on, we do have technology classes. Please go to the technology classes. And today, if you have been paying attention to our calendar, there is a 12 o'clock regional technology. I forget what he's going over, but we have somebody by the name of Donnie, who is a technology instructor in the region. I personally, you may have a different perception, but myself and many of us love how he's just, I think that he's really, really good. And I think that you should take a look at what they're doing regionally. So it's on our calendar.
Are you gonna have it in the classroom here today? Are they gonna?
It's a virtual class. I don't think so.
If the class isn't being used, it'd be a great.
It can. Could you do me a favor, because I have a meeting right after this? Could you check with Nicole and see if she wants to do that? Well, no,
No, I gotta go.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, and get back to us with that.
Yeah.
But please lean on the classes that we do teach so that you can actually utilize the systems that we have. Jack was talking about Command and sending out things through Command. We do have a CRM. We have something that actually goes out to, or I'm sorry, not goes out, but we have the ability to send things out in masses. Now be careful about that. You don't want it to be too spammy, and yet there still is information that you can be utilizing our tools for. And those are what we have. So go to the technology classes.
Along those
with Samantha.
lines, Susan,
I'm sorry?
along those lines, I'm getting ready to cut ties with Constant Contact because I
You have
can do the
Constant
same
Contact?
thing.
Oh, yeah.
I can do the same thing through Command. Command doesn't cost me anything.
I know. Yeah, I didn't know that you were using Constant Contact.
I haven't been using it very effectively,
Ah,
okay?
well,
But you know what, $60 a month? No.
Oh, wow.
yeah, Constant Contact, well, that's why I didn't know that you were using that. Yeah, definitely.
No, I was just giving them money.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were happy to take it.
Absolutely.
They're totally happy to take it. And that's not uncommon. There's a lot of systems that are out there that people, whether you're in this business or other businesses, are utilizing that $30 a month here, $30 a month there, and
And they nickel and dime you to death.
yeah, and we're, as real estate agents, there's so much that people are more than happy to sell you. I know,
Yeah.
I did it again.
I just got something from my we'll sell you a Facebook. They set up my Facebook or something.
Oh, isn't that nice of them?
Facebook. I was like,
I think I got that too.
yeah, see, I think
You got that?
myself.
You respond back, yeah, I think I'm good, I got it. I can do that myself. When you have your database and you're utilizing something like Command, and Command has some other tentacles that go out there. So Command works with MailChimp, which is a service you could pay for it. Do not use a paid service. I use MailChimp all the time. But I use it through Command and with Command in conjunction because we have a partnership with them. So there are some other systems, but you want your database to be in the system so that you have the ability to know, oh, Sarah mentioned 2 or 3 months, when we get back, we're thinking of selling. Well, you want to be able to reach out to them, even though he is sending them things so that they don't forget about them. He is able to put a reminder or something on the calendar that says, I need to reach out to them. Is she going to do that?
She's in a meeting right now, so we're gonna do something.
we have what's called the toolkit within within Ignite. So let me show you something. Please use this. I love getting phone calls from you guys. I absolutely do. But I will say that a lot of the things that we have, if you go here first, when it comes to communicating with someone or how to do something on the basic level, I'm not dismissing that you're still going to have questions, but at least check this out first. When you have a question like a checklist for listing a house. So within the Ignite materials, remember we did this at the beginning, you have the materials, you have what's called the toolkit. So both Ignites have a toolkit. This one has them separately and the most updated one. So remember, the one that's 2.0 is the most updated, but there is a toolkit in the other one too. It's a zip file. Let me make sure I continue to share the right screen. So within the file that gets downloaded, Corey, are you able to see a list of a bunch of documents?
Yep, I can see this.
Perfect. So you would think that I'd have this down now after a year and a half of Zoom. You see how it has everything titled? So it has your checklist, it has daily 10-4, and a lot of has a script book. Listing presentation, there's actually another listing presentation in here. There's one in Command and there's one here. There's a number, there's like 15 items in here, 19 items in here. So that can help you with a lot of what you're doing. If you want to send a letter, congratulations, you just went under contract. There is an example of what that is like. So as you go through this as a course, there's going to be some things that we refer to. The toolkit is something that you are going to utilize quite a bit. So I just want to make sure I showed you guys that. Oh, hello. That's not what that's the wrong one. Ah, hold on. There we go. Ah. Come on. Ah. New share. There we go. Okay. So these are all the things that are in there and then actually more, but you do have your script. So if you're wondering, I want to call for sale by owner, I want to call the neighborhood about, a new home that's on the market, that type of thing. The script book has really plenty of scripts in there to just give you an idea of what that conversation should look like. I'm a fan of memorizing the scripts so that you can then have a conversation in any situation. You're going to be in the store, you're going to be at the dry cleaners, and somebody's going to say something. And if you do not have the rebuttal, you don't have the how to handle the objection, then you may have someone who ends up talking to their neighbor who knows another real estate agent that person has helped them. If I'm going to use the example that we were just talking about, you could very well have someone, it's like, well, I don't want to sell because I don't have anywhere to go. It's like, well, I don't know if this would be possible for you, but we are having a lot of people who are buying who then will allow you to rent back the property. Is that something that you know anything about, or would you be interested in? The conversation can go in this, go in 3 different directions, but that might be something that's like, well, I don't even know what that means. Then you can talk about it a little bit. You might be the one person who has given them a possible solution to then continue to have a relationship with them and be their agent when the time is right, whether it's then or a year from now. We have found I've been in this position for over 6 years, and consistently, especially as newer agents, when you're the one that is saying, here are some choices to do something, we have consistently gone further in the relationships faster, and it has less to do with how long you've been in the business. Because you're just somebody that's looking for a solution. And they're not talking to other people that are saying that. Do it all the time. It's like, okay, you want to be a for sale by owner? It's like, great. Is anybody doing open houses for you? That's one of the ones that I don't know how any agent isn't saying that, but a lot of people don't. It's like, why would you do an open house for me if you're not the listing agent? It's like, well, to be honest, as a professional, I could help you sell your house and possibly talk to someone and make sure that they're real. And then I could also possibly pick up a buyer. It's like they have it, all the time, because a lot of agents don't ask that question. So this is what the course is going to be filled with. You're gonna have lead generating next week, 2 days from now, Friday. Oh my gosh, it's Friday. Today's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
2 days, today's Wednesday?
It's June.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we have lead generating. That's the core of the business. We're gonna go more into depth on how you can do that. And there are lots of ways to do that. There are lots of ways to do that on a one-on-one, making phone calls. And then there are lots of ways that you can do it by spending money in marketing, and then tons of things in between. Right or wrong, there's just lots of ways to do it. Powerful language gets you results. So that goes back to like the scripts. You gotta know what to say. If you are not prepared for that listing appointment, because it can happen, you talk to somebody that's interested in selling or buying, and you don't know what to say. There are opportunities that you are going to start showing up at the grocery store, at the dry cleaners, at an event. And I want you to have the tools to be able to have those conversations. We do go more in depth into your database, setting goals that matter, delivering your value proposition. Imagine that you're in the elevator, the old business technique. You're in an elevator and there's somebody there that's looking to buy or sell. They're like your dream client. What are you going to say to them? Why would they possibly want to work with you? So your value proposition is important. Find and win the buyer. There are lots of buyers out there, but we want to work with those that are motivated. We'll stay in relationships with people that are 2 years out from buying, but do you want to be showing them houses every weekend from now until then? Not the best use of your time. I'd rather spend time with my family. Same thing about finding seller leads. So there are leads that are out there. There are sellers that are out there. We have a lot of homes that come on the market. We just happen to have a lot of buyers right now too. So the lack of inventory is not that we're having less houses than we did like a year and a half ago. It has more to do that there are just more buyers. So we want to know, we want to understand what the inventory is like. And then of course there is the day in the life of a real estate agent. There are things that we do and there are things that you should be doing. And some of it is kind of boring. Hopefully you can find a way to do it that is more enjoyable, which goes back to, she's making phone calls when she's walking. I mean, that's just a smart thing to be doing. It's good for you. You're out and about, meet people, whatever it is that you're doing. The day in the life of a real estate agent still is going to, most of us that are successful are finding it by having conversations with people and doing lead generating activities. So that's going to be a similarity. How you do it is where the variations are going to come. And then, of course, we do have some of the office itself specifics that we go over. The elements: prospecting, marketing, open houses, seller appointments, buyer consultations, making and receiving offers and negotiating the deal. We have deals that fall apart all the time. You will see houses that were on the market and then they go off and then they come back onto the market. There are times when sometimes a deal can be saved if it's in the best interest of all parties. There is no reason for it to fall apart, but sometimes they fall apart because there are agents that do not want to keep it together. I spoke about my deal from yesterday that couldn't have very well, so sellers were perfectly fine and probably would have been happy to have the buyers sleep in their car because they were very angry, and yet there were ways that we made it all work. the end of the day, the sellers did want to close. They were just mad. They got a lot of money, so it wasn't about the money, it was just like personal issues. Financial basics, you do want to have some of that to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your family. And then of course the contract to close, the actual process of what that looks like. How you get all this stuff done? We talked about 20, she's going for 20 a day. And this is someone who's been in the business for a long time. So that didn't stop when she became an agent, you know, the second or third year of being in the business. That is something that every successful agent is doing something like that. Whether it's 10 people a day or 20 people a day, the house match team, for those of you, well, the newer, those of you that are newer, that's our largest team in the office. They have about 15 agents that are part of that office. They have, I want to say, 3 in-person full-time agents that make calls all day long. They actually never see a client.
That's all we do.
That's all they do, all day long, every single day. They're calling the database. That's not something that would make me very happy. I'd be a very angry person if I did that all day long. But they have a couple of agents that they are licensed agents, so they're able to have full-on conversations, and yet they are making phone calls all day long, every day. So if you're looking at something like that and saying, well, wow, they have a lot of successes. They have a lot of successes because they're doing things like that. They are contacting their database. Now, we as individual agents may do it a little bit differently because making the phone calls all day long is a hard thing to do. You have to be a special breed to do that well and enjoy it. A lot of times we have a mixture. Is it our time?
No, I just need to change it.
They might be in our,
I'll come around that.
like, well, I'm not even sure. So we are finishing up. Oh, they're not in, yeah, they're not in here.
They might be upstairs and.
Oh, they are, they're here, they're here.
Oh, okay, I'll come around that side, thank you.
So for the last part, because we're finishing up. Oh, last slide. Whoops, where'd I go? Hello. Doing all kinds of weird stuff over here. Nothing.
Yeah, we don't have that slide.
No. Hold on. Oh, hello. What's that, John? Hey, Corey, are you able to see? Oh, there we go. Corey, do you
Yep,
see the
all
thing that
good.
says, do you see the thing that says recaps?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just to finish up, how are you guys doing with questions? Dead stares.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to talk to 10 people? She's doing it by making phone calls using the A, and you do AZ. That's how the method. So you start with you start with the first and the last letter, and then you go to the second and the next to last letter the following week, and it's on a weekly basis that you contact your database. So that's just a system. It's just easy to remember it that way, to know where you are. Or it might be that you're going to just go through people that you have in your community. Maybe you have a directory for your community or something like that. Are you okay with making 10, 20?
Because I have a question, because making 10 phone calls to, I only have 50 people in my database, in my connections, or whatever you call them. So on your slide, it said 10 new people, like a day.
So there's 10. So 10 people that are already in your database.
That's easy.
And then there's 10,
The new
if you
one
want
is
to like
the
up
hard
it,
thing.
where do you go and meet them? So I used the instance of, I was at the dry cleaners. You can be places like that, or you can make phone calls to for sale by owners, expireds. You can do all of those types of things. But you need to reach out. You could also use, if you're on social media, you could have two-way conversations, whether it's private messenger or reach out to people through Facebook and Instagram. Those, honestly, they work nowadays. I have full-on conversation. I have someone that she will not send me a text message. This is an agent that I used to work with that we're accountability in our social media program that we're doing. And she will not text me in a regular thing. I was like, text. No, private message.
Yeah, like right now where I'm at, it's gonna be a little bit easier to add 10 to my contactor day because I haven't gone through I'm working through
That's the first step.
my Facebook list and stuff and messaging them. But that just seems very daunting, 10 new people and you have
This?
20 new people?
Do you go to the farmer's market on Saturday?
Well, I do, and I do meet, I meet people in the grocery store, I do. I am so waiting for my business card so that I can like, but I've never asked them for their information. I mean, I mean, right.
Susie's
And
next
I was at the pool on Friday because it was my birthday, so the pool, we have a pool boy. So at our location, so I told him, I was just like, I'm looking, can I get your email? I'm looking for contacts. He wound up going around to all of the people who work in my little community and wound up bringing me back paper with 20 people with their emails.
So you need more,
phone
find more
numbers.
people like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy I'd make sure that he had a really nice gift card to a restaurant.
He could be a core
Because he's-
advocate.
Well, he's our
Sure.
pool guy and I do take care of him. I take care of him very, very well. So he's very
motivated.
sweet to me.
He's
Yes, he's very motivated. Yeah, and I do still have to go to my ex's. I'm going to his dealerships to all the people that I know there and then be like,
I go to the farmer's market on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I talk to every vendor. Not only do it every week, but I got in the habit of doing that because my office, when I was with Keller Williams, before I got moved out here, used to be on State Street. Well, it was a natural because that's where the farmer's market is. It's downtown Sarasota. Half of the market was right in front of my office. I pulled a chair out and sat on the sidewalk and just talked to people all the time. But
yeah.
you collect cards. One day a week, you go somewhere and you collect business cards. Go to the mall.
I think it was a day. She's saying 10 a day. That is daunting to me. 10, like that's not daunting to me. Yeah, can I meet 10 people in a week? Well, I'm not about, yes, that's not.
You
probably
can.
possible.
If you take.
Oh, it was the
No, that's
day.
okay.
It was-
Hey, come in, they're just finishing up and asking us for, it's all good for you.
Absolutely an acquired.
Yeah.
This is Jillian, she's a brand new agent.
Hi.
Hi, Jillian.
So guess what? You guys aren't new anymore. Jillian's new.
Oh, are these brand new
Welcome,
agents
I'm like a week.
She's a weekend.
Oh, okay. I don't have a name tag yet, that's how you can.
too? Oh, okay.
And then we have Maddie, who is 10 days in.
Hi.
Ish. Yeah, very good. So this is Jillian. So she just joined us last Thursday, Friday, something like
Yeah,
that.
just a couple days ago,
Yeah,
actually,
just a
yeah.
couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Well, we just finished up a class. so-
Julian, I'm Corey.
Nice to meet you.
Let me just double check. Hey, Corey, other Corey. I never have two Corys in a class.
Yeah.
Corey, do you have any questions?
Not this time.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the recording, so see you in the office once in a while.
I'll be there.
Okay, bye.
And you're gonna send the recording out, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a mishmash, but yeah.